Welcome back to the Flow Sports Fix on this Wednesday. It's time to catch up with the Statman. He's not talking AFL or netball. This time he's talking about the other sport that he really loves.
Thanks, Clayton. And we're going to talk about some cricket news today. You can be forgiven for thinking that domestically the cricket season is over. Well, you would be wrong. It will come to a close early next week, though, at the end of the Sheffield Shield final, which gets underway tomorrow. And it'll be hosted by Queensland at Allan Border Field. They'll be taking on New South Wales. The traditional state rivalry there from rugby league, realised in a cricket final. And this is interesting because there's a bonus point system which will decide the Shield final now, and it's got a few of the players talking. So the quirks of this bonus point system are yet to be realised, but one thing we do know is that players are thinking about it. Joe Burns has spoken about it, in fact, and gone are the days where if you were hosting the Sheffield Shield final, you basically just have made the curators put together a flat deck and batted for as long as possible. A draw was enough to win the Sheffield Shield once upon a time. Well, now, slightly different. So here's how it works under this bonus point system. You receive 0.01 of a point for every run scored beyond 200 in the first 100 overs of the first innings. So that's the batting side. The bowling side receives 0.1 of a point for every wicket taken inside the first 100 overs of its opponent's first innings. So technically, you don't necessarily have to win the match to win the Sheffield Shield now as the visiting side. So that in itself is interesting. It could certainly come into play if there is a draw over 270 overs. It is a 5-day final, of course. And Joe Burns has said he will, he and the team, are looking closely at what this all means. He says you try and win the game, but if you can get the bonus points in the first innings as well, you're in a good spot if it's shaping up to be a draw. So we'll see how that plays out over the next 5 days. Interesting quirk to it. For the record, 4 of the past 7 Shield finals have ended in draws, while only 6 of the last 37 finals have been won by the side that finished second on the ladder. So there you go, 31 out of 37. The home side normally picks up the Shield. So we'll follow the fortunes of the New South Welshmen and the Queenslanders over the next 5 days, starting tomorrow. It's, I tell you what, a pretty strong New South Wales side as well. The bowling stocks in particular. New South Wales will roll out Mitchell Starc, Josh Hazlewood and Nathan Lyon, if you don't mind. So while that's going on, in England, they're preparing for the 100. Now, what is this? It's a professional franchise 100-ball cricket tournament. It'll be played in England and Wales, run by the ECB over there. It was due to start back in the summer of 2020, but of course, COVID put pay to that. So the playing conditions, here's how it works. Back in 2019, they confirmed that it would be 10 10-ball overs, and bowlers can deliver 5 or 10 consecutive balls. So I'm not entirely sure how that all works. The change of ends after 10 balls. Each bowler can deliver a maximum of 20 balls per game, and they can be changed 5 balls into an over. So if you want to keep 5 balls up your sleeve for an end change or something like that, I guess you can do that. Each bowling side gets a strategic timeout of up to 2.5 minutes, and there is a 25-ball power play to start for each team. Only 2 fielders outside the fielding arc during the power play. Very similar to 2020 cricket, so you get the idea. But recently, some changes to the vernacular around the cricket and this particular tournament have drawn some outrage from various people. And what they're trying to do here is change the way we talk about the game. So batsmen will be known as batters, and wickets, how about this? They want to change the name of wickets to outs in a bid to simplify the sports terminology and attract new fans. Now, I can tell you who they're trying to attract here, and it's fairly obvious, and I'll get to that in a moment. Former Australian star Brad Hogg has given a fairly blunt appraisal of what he thinks of the changes. He swore, as will a lot of cricket traditionalists, but there is no doubt that the change in vernacular and terminology from wickets to outs and from batsmen to batters is absolutely in line with baseball. Now, why would they be doing that? Obviously, they're trying to get some sort of traction for this in North America, which is where it will play out. Now, originally, one of the playing conditions that they were looking of bringing in was the abolition of the LBW rule altogether. So you either hit the stumps or got caught. They were the ways you got out, along with some other, handled ball and those sort of things. But they wanted to get rid of the LBW rule, saying that it would be too confusing for non-cricket lovers to follow. They eventually got that thrown out. But clearly that is the path that this 100 competition is taking. They're looking to take this in time to the United States and try and get some following there in North America. The terminology of wickets to outs absolutely solidifies that as the end game for the 100. Whether or not it'll work, I guess we'll see. Cricket does have a smallish following in North America already. But whether or not this tournament will be successful, it's got some heavy hitters behind it, lots of sponsorship dollars. I guess we'll wait and see. But cricket purists will probably not be turning on, I wouldn't think. Having said that, 2020 has certainly infiltrated the calendar. Whether or not this next incarnation will have the same sort of success as International 2020 cricket, I guess we'll wait and see. But for the record, the 100 tournament will have 8 city-based teams. They'll be competing for that title over 38 days during mid-July, early September. We'll obviously get to watch some of it here in Australia, and the playoffs will include the top 3 teams at the conclusion of the league stage. And that is a cricket wrap for you today here on the Sports Fix.